Okay.
Well, old timers, they talked about those people that ate humans. They called them Nulica. So that was the only story that I remember them ever talking about down there at Fort Washington and in Sage Creek area. And they're the ones that they said came down. They'd come down so I don't know. There was must have been a family or something like that. They'd go hunting and they'd come down and they'd grab whoever they could get a hold of. Mostly they hunted at late evening, and that's why when these young people talk about the lake and stuff like that, there's bound to be something like that still alive up there. Just like they talk about that water monster, and that water monster lives in those lakes and those waters. I know that Trout Creek has some, and I don't know about the others. They're bound to have further up towards the mountain. But Trout Creek is known to be water baby. What do you call it? Water baby country. Whether they lure people into the water. So I don't know what they do with them after they lure them in. I know you're drowned. But they never said anything about whether they found the bodies or anything like that. They just let it go at that. They just said that they lure you into the water, so evidently they didn't want to talk about it. It's as far as they got on them. But through there and that creek way over there, where on the other side of the casino, that creek there's got water monsters too. And that's why that time when Bee lost her baby there, that's the first thing that popped into my head was it. And that thing must have went up there after that baby. They left it playing outside. And then when they went and checked, they said that water, that grass and everything was all wet through there. And that's when they found that baby way down there by the river, by the creek, where the bridge is. That's where they found him. Caught him right there. So when they talk about these waters over here, they're still wild. They're there's nothing to be they're nothing to be played with, these waters. We have what they call almost call what people would call a virgin country. There's still things that's unknown around here. People don't realize that. People just think, oh, it's just a country, but it's not. It's up in here, especially where they talked about that Wokai Beach and all those different kinds of things that they used to see. Now, those things the pictures were on that Dunwoody Wall. That's what I believe. Them old timers that traveled around here during the old times, they're the ones that saw them, knew about them. That's probably why they carved those pictures on the wall up there. It's kind of like a history. But the divers up there, they went up and destroyed them. Some cut them off the wall. Rock hunters, they took them. Just the same way they did with that jade pipestone that used to sit up there, the big pipestone. The Dibos and the half-breeds, they went up there and they blew that thing up. And they took all the stone, sold it. That's where we used to get our pipestone for the pipes and all that kind of stuff. They had different areas in this country that they set aside for to get their red paint and their yellow paint and their white paint, their salt, everything like that. They had different areas that they went to, and they knew about them. And they kind of kept those places. It kept people from going around them. And then they talked about these wild things that were in the water and like that. Just like that story that they told about that woman. She had her baby in a cradle board and she stuck it up against a tree while she was busy messing with whatever she was doing. And in the meantime, that water monster, they called it the water baby, came up out of the water and swallowed that baby, and he got into that cradle board, pretended to be that baby. He started crying. And that mother, she came back, decided that her baby was hungry, so she started nursing it from her breast. And that water monster just took her breast, just ate her breast off. I don't know whether she died or lived. Nobody ever said. But they said that's how she lost her baby. The water baby. Monster. That's why when I see kids playing along the creeks and stuff like that, I don't like that. I try to tell them, be careful around these waters. These young people know all about it. They don't want to hear anything that older people tell them. And I know there's stuff like that over in Idaho too. They talk about them. Hardly anybody listens. Very few people talk about them. It's myth to the younger people, but they're facts. They've been seen. I know they said that they had water babies that were crawling along the road over there in, near Buffalo Lodge. And then somebody ran over one of them. But they said that thing disappeared, so evidently the others came back and got it. Because they couldn't find any evidence of it when they went to look for it. Somebody ran over it. That was how I heard about them water babies over there in Fort Hall. But there's still, like I said, there's this country, Indian country, they got things that you should be careful of. It's like the old people say, stay indoors after the sun goes down. Go inside, don't come out. Unless you got somebody with you. That's what they used to tell us. Don't be wandering around out there by yourself. And I used to wonder why they were so adamant about it. They were really strictly serious. They wanted you to be careful and be safe. But I lived during those times when they talked about things like that. I came through that, lived through that kind of stuff that they talked about.
He's all set up.
Talk about animals being able to talk if they were pressed. Like if they used to say dogs could talk. If they were anxious for your safety, well, they talk. things like that they talked about years ago. Yeah. It was during my time, I wasn't that old, or that young, I should say, because I was a youngster when I'd hear those stories. And they'd look at me and they'd say, "You hear me? Inaranga," they'd say. Be kind of mean about it. So by gosh, I listened. That's how come when I lived out here in this country by myself, when I used to have to babysit the place when I was by myself, I made darn sure that I got all my chores done when there was still light left. And I went in, stayed in. That's how I survived out here. I lived by myself a lot of times. Had to do things by myself. But that's the way I have heard these stories, and the same thing about that Wokai moment that's standing across the river over there. They say that thing is supposed to come alive when things get really, really seriously bad. And it's waiting, standing out there. And the Mo people that lived down the bottoms, they used to talk about it. They tell me, "You see that thing up there? He's real. He's standing up there waiting for things to turn bad so he can come back. And by that time he should be darn hungry when he does come back." So if I were you youngsters that's hearing my story, be careful. Even when you're out drinking around, doing crazy things, be careful out here. I'm talking to all you Indian people, Indian youngsters. I worry about you when I hear stories about how you youngsters go out and do crazy things. I've lived through those times. Almost during those times, I had the tail end of it when the older people used to talk about it, tell stories. That's why when I hear things like that, it's like that one that called me late at night, talking about going to the lake, wanting to see somebody that's gone on. Don't do that. It's not for you. And if you talk to anybody out there during the night, you better be careful. You better get your tail home. Because that's not a good sign. Things like that talk to you in the night. Those are they're spirits that want you to die. They want your soul. And you don't go to wherever your relatives have gone. You stay in limbo when you die like that. So I'm telling you, be careful. Don't do crazy things. Don't listen to anything like that talks to you in the night. Because if you do, you're headed for disaster, and you're going to wonder. You'll be like a spirit that's lost. You'll never rest. You'll always be traveling around. You might even wind up scaring somebody to death. So you be careful. Don't be going out and doing goofy things at night. Because I know for a fact that things like that exist. I'm just telling you, I'm warning you, be careful. The old people said something bad is coming. It's going to take young people. I don't know what it is, or when it's going to happen. Maybe this here pandemic they're talking about now, maybe that's part of it. But whatever it is, you young people, be careful. Don't do anything crazy, because you might wind up being a lost spirit. Nobody can pray for you. Nobody can bring you back. Remember that. Nobody can bring you back. You wander forever. Lost. If I'm scaring you, that's good. I want to scare you so you can understand. Learn how to behave. Learn how to do something with your life. Don't be goofing around thinking that, you're going to find somebody that's gone on. No, those people have gone on to a better place. They don't have to worry about being sick or hungry or anything like that. They're already being taken care of. They've gone to where they're supposed to go. So don't be thinking you're going to find them anywhere. That's not true. The only time you might find them is if you die in a natural, normal way. Then the people say you meet your relatives. But not this other way. Don't go looking for it, because you might find something you don't want to find. That's all I can say to you, is you kids, you young people, be careful. Watch out. Be careful of what you're doing. Do something with your life. Find something else to do. Be good to yourself and learn to do something. Do something with your life. That's what our old people wanted for us. They want for our parents, want our kids to learn how to do something so they can survive and live and be happy. That's what we want, all of us want for you youngsters. So just be careful, okay? That's all I got to say to you.